Welcome to the Tortoise Room. This is the room that I've assembled. It's coming up on 3 years that I've been here and been gradually establishing this room. Every single animal you see here is a hingeback tortoise except for one, and that is that guy right there. That is Baby Greek. So thank you for joining me this fine Sunday morning. Let's take a look at the temperature parameters. As you can see, the relative humidity is only 26%. Why is that? Well, it's because it's very cold outside right now. So our heater has kicked on, and that has dropped the relative humidity down to 26%. That is really, really, really low. But what it does replicate is that dry season in West Africa that my hingebacks experience. So welcome. It's bath time right now. I'm giving the 4 hatchlings that I have still a nice bath. You can see 3 Holmes hingebacks and 1 Western hingeback. These guys with the kind of spiky shells, those are the Holmes hingebacks. They're actually a critically endangered species from West Africa, and that's why I do this. I haven't just selected any tortoise to have a bunch of pet tortoises. I do this because very, very few people work with this tortoise and care about this tortoise and know about the hingeback tortoises. So that is why I have put so much effort into working with hingeback tortoises and building this entire room, which is almost 3 years I've been here, to house 2 species of hingeback tortoises, the Holmes hingeback and the Western hingeback tortoise. I've hatched these guys every year since 2020, and I'll keep doing it. I'll keep doing it as long as I possibly can. So yeah, I give these guys a bath every other day, and that is primarily how they get their water. They do have little bowls of water, the Western and the Holmes hingebacks, but primarily I soak them. After I soak them, I immediately feed them some moistened pellets. Over here, we have 2 older animals. We have Rooster on the right, and then we have Little Guy, who's kind of shaky, on the left. Now, Little Guy was actually hatched in 2021, and he is the tortoise that just simply would not grow. And then we have Rooster below that, and Rooster hatched in 2022 and has grown fairly normally at the standard rate. Little Guy, he has some neurological problems. You can see he's kind of shaking there. His neck is a little twisted. His beak is misaligned. His back feet sort of twist in weird ways. But I didn't think this guy was going to last the 30 days. And he's 3 now. He will be 3 in May. Why is he like this? I don't know. He is one of the eggs. He came from one of the eggs that I transported from our old house to our new house. So that could have been part of the issue. Look at his head. He's getting nice and yellow. Isn't that nice? Oh, man. I mean, he's a fun tortoise. And then we have Rooster, who's being calm and quiet right now. But Rooster hatched in 2022 as a holdback. I am hoping that Rooster is a male so that he can mate with one of these tortoises' older siblings. For whatever reason, I've not really been able to hatch many male hingeback of the Holmes variety. On the westerns, I've hatched about 70% now. So, what's happening? What's going on in the room? Well, let's talk about Brownie. Brownie's the tortoise that I've had since the year 2000, just when these tortoises were no longer able to be exported into the U.S. And so Brownie has been hit or miss for me. She will lay 6 to 10 eggs in a year. Sometimes she lays them on the. Hey, Fernando, thanks for stopping by. Um, Sometimes she digs a nest normally, but this last night I came down and she was sitting right here, and there was an egg here, and there was an egg over there. So check out that short. I don't know why she did that. I think I paired her up once with her mate after she laid her first clutch, and her first clutch is fertile. But for whatever reason, she just um, laid on top of the ground. Maybe they won't be fertile. And then we have Blondie. Blondie is a tortoise that I received in 2019, I do believe. 2019. And I saw a picture on Facebook Marketplace in one of the reptile rehoming groups for Ohio. And this tortoise was on there listed. Hey, Sean, how's it going? I'm trying out the YouTube Live that shows up in the Shorts feature from your mobile phone. So the story of Blondie is that I found her on Facebook Marketplace in one of the Ohio groups. We were living in Columbus, and a young man who lived out in Amish country had listed this tortoise as an elongated tortoise that needed a new home. And I had just recently lost another tortoise that I had of this species for 20 years. And I was pretty chuffed about that. And I found this girl. It was an ad that was several months old, and it took me like a week to get a hold of this guy. And I finally got a hold of him and said, "Do you still have your elongated tortoise?" And he said, yes, I do. It's living on the basement floor. And sure enough, that was the story of Blondie, the Western Hinchback. I was able to get her. I offered him a good sum of money, sight unseen, and me and the boys took the drive up to Amish country and got her. Now, when I got her, she was so underweight. She could not even support her own weight. But she had life, she had vigor. I knew that if I worked with her, I could get her going. And sure enough, I did that summer. I kept her outside a lot. She ate a lot of mushrooms and a lot of squash and a lot of worms. And this girl has proven to be my best Western Hinchback breeder. Just been, she produces clutches of 5 eggs and will produce 15 eggs a year. And they hatch. They're fertile, and they all hatch typically. But the interesting part of the story this year is that this girl has laid no eggs. So she has shown really no signs of being gravid at all. The soil that I have her in is very hard. I don't think I would miss this girl trying to lay a clutch of eggs, but maybe I did. Maybe I did. But for tortoises, that's the hardest thing, I think. The more tortoises you get, the the higher the chances are that you might miss a female that late. Typically, they lay they'll stop eating, and then they'll just like pace all around the enclosure. That is the classic sign that you know a Western pinchback tortoise is gravid. And I've got some videos on this, but you can actually palpate the tortoise. You can place your finger between its hind leg and the bridge of the carapace, and you can feel eggs inside the tortoise. I have not palpated any eggs from this girl at all this year. Uh, but an amazing animal, and if I were down to just two females, these two tortoises would probably see that. As you can see, I have them set up in these big 110-gallon stuffed tubs. I like to use Dracaena. That plant, if you look at the tortoise table website, you'll see it's toxic. Um, Mine don't seem to have any issues with it, and it's a native plant from tropical Africa. So if you're just joining us, let's go back to where we started, and that's with some of the young turtles. We have a rooster right here. Rooster is a home cinchback. And then we have little guy. Little guy is also a home cinchback. But little guy was born with some birth defects. He had twisted rear back legs. And little guy just wouldn't eat for the longest time. And it was really quite frustrating. Honestly, I thought this tortoise would not make it past 30 days. I never would see it eat, and it really never grew. But finally, after about 6 months, this tortoise finally started growing. And even though he is a year older than Rooster right there, he has just grown quite slow. So it'll be interesting to see how big he actually gets. And then we have these guys over here. These are the Holdback 2023 tortoises. And I have 3 home cinchbacks. Those are the kind of spiky, jagged, shelled tortoises that look more like wood turtles. And then I have one of the Western Hinchbacks, and that is one of Blondie's offspring. And then let's take a look at the tortoise room one more time and kind of see what I've developed here. I like using the big tough stuffed tubs. Excuse me. I also like excuse me, using the PVC enclosures from Seth Hurst. But then as you can see right there, I actually use tubs from the Container Store. They make really good habitats. If I want to go higher, I'll stack with the cattle troughs, or just put them on the shelf. And then in this room, this room is the nursery. Here's where the babies are. There's an incubator, and then the 2 to 3-year-old, 4-year-old living here. And these are the captive bred. That is one around it. And that really dark one is one from mine. It's kind of amazing how different their coloration can be, even though there's a female one that is children, and hopefully this girl don't make this one. Take time on 12 to love rough house and it's not any effect as a good setup that I see every day. Well, my advice would just be to make sure that you know your local laws where you live to stay on a North American season. Some states require different permits to have them. And then the other thing I would just keep in mind is have a big, giant enclosure last 3 months, man. And that's what's so great about turtles. They are long-term pets. They are not something you should just say, hey, I'm bored with this turtle. Let's get rid of it. Because some of these turtles have been in multiple homes, decade after decade after decade. Just think about the different stories these animals could tell. So when you're keeping turtles, be really choosy, be really picky, be in it for the long run, and make sure you are not taking anything in that you didn't have it truly thought about it. So Juan, Luciano, good morning. How are you doing? And I hope you enjoy your breakfast. It is about 9:45, and believe it or not, like my family is almost entirely asleep here. Still, it's been a rough month, we'll say. I've been quite sick, unfortunately. I had pneumonia, and I finally got over that. And I'm finally feel human that I can actually make some videos. This is the last tortoise that actually, it's not the last one that we got, but we've had this tortoise for about a year now. This is a Greek tortoise, Testudo greca, but this is one of the Anamurum locales. I think the adults were acquired or imported by Chris Leone, but this guy came from Andrew Hermes at the Arizona Tortoise Compound, and this is a pet. We got this tortoise for our pet, and my daughter Paige, who's 7, absolutely loves this tortoise. And while we don't have him hibernating yet, we think that one day, maybe, this will be like our outside tortoise that can live outside year-round. We'll bring him in the garage for the winter, and we'll do that. So there you go. There you have it. There's my setup. This is a passion project again. It is a project specifically to learn more about hinchback tortoises. Very few people work with these. Very few are kept in zoos and things like that. So that's why I do this. I've chosen a very specific species because I want to learn as much as I can about that species and then spread the word about it so that we can learn more. But the Holmes hinchback, very rare in captivity, and the Western hinchbacks that I work with is becoming more rare. So that's it from the Turtle Room. I appreciate you joining me this morning. I'll do this more often if you like it. And have a wonderful